I didn't walk into that hotel like a woman begging for answers. I walked in like I already knew the truth because I did. The loyalty email had spelled it out for me in black and white. A king suite booked under his name, champagne on ice, late checkout requested, and a special note attached. Make sure the rose petals are ready before she arrives. The desk clerk looked up as I slid my ID across the counter. My hand was steady, though my chest burned. Reservation under Sullivan, I said. He blinked at me, fingers tapping the keyboard. Yes, ma'am. Checking in? His wife, I clarified, tilting my chin toward the monitor. Go ahead. Print it. The printer hummed, and within seconds, I was holding the confirmation with his name printed boldly across it. Room number, champagne, roses. Every detail there in ink. My lips curled into the kind of smile that doesn't reach your eyes. I tucked the paper neatly into my purse. I didn't have to wait long. The elevator dinged, and out stepped my husband, grinning like a teenager, his hand locked around hers. She was younger, maybe late 20s, dripping in a too-short dress that screamed desperate. He leaned down and whispered something in her ear, and she laughed, tossing her hair back like she'd already won. Then he saw me. His grin froze in place, and the color drained from his face so fast I thought he might collapse. "McKenna?" he croaked, like my name was a curse. I crossed my arms and let the silence do its work. The lobby seemed to pause, the receptionist stiffening, a bellhop stopping mid-step, the couple on the sofa turning their heads. All of them staring. I wanted the humiliation to spread, wanted the floor to open and swallow him whole. "Who's this?" she asked, her hand slipping from his arm. I stepped forward, slow and deliberate. "I'm his wife," I said clearly, projecting my voice so every corner of the lobby heard it. "The one whose email he used to book your little champagne suite. You should thank him, sweetheart. The loyalty points went to my account." Her jaw dropped. Gasps rippled across the room. My husband sputtered, raising his palms like he could stop a tidal wave. "It's not what it looks like." I cut him off with a laugh sharp enough to slice glass. "Really? Because it looks exactly like you booked a hotel for your mistress using my email, my money, and my time. Did I miss something?" She staggered back, her heels clicking against the marble floor, muttering something about needing fresh air. She bolted for the doors, leaving him stranded, a deer caught in blinding headlights. "Please," he hissed, his voice low, trying to contain the damage. "Let's not do this here." "Oh no," I said, pulling the folded confirmation from my purse and waving it like a flag. "We're doing it here. Right now. In front of everyone. You wanted romance? You wanted roses. Here's your bouquet of shame." Before he could move, I lifted the glass of champagne sitting unattended on the counter, probably meant for some guest arriving in style, and I threw it straight into his face. The liquid splattered across his shirt and dripped down onto the polished floor. The gasp that followed was delicious, like an audience reacting to the climax of a play. He wiped his eyes, stammering, "McKenna, stop! Let's go upstairs and talk." "No," I said firmly, voice trembling but unbroken. "We're finished. You humiliated me. You lied to me. You dragged our marriage through the gutter. But tonight, you get to taste humiliation in return." His lips parted, but no words came. He just stood there, dripping champagne, surrounded by witnesses who would carry this story into every corner of West Palm Beach by morning. I turned to the clerk, who was frozen behind the counter. "Cancel his room, and make sure the bill goes to him directly, not to our joint account. Those days are over." The clerk nodded quickly, typing with nervous hands. I adjusted my purse strap, squared my shoulders, and walked toward the exit. My heels clicked like gunshots across the marble, each step sealing the vow hardening inside me. I wouldn't cry here. I wouldn't beg. That part of me had died the moment I read those hotel messages. Outside, the humid Florida night wrapped around me. My chest heaved, but I forced the tears back down. He could keep his lies, his roses, his empty promises. From this moment on, he wasn't my problem. He was my project. I whispered to myself as I opened my car door, a promise only I needed to hear. You're going to regret this. I'll make sure of it. I slid behind the wheel, slammed the door shut, and drove off without looking back, leaving him standing in the ruins of his performance. Tonight was only Act 1. People think betrayal starts the moment you catch them in the act. They're wrong. It starts years before, in all the little moments you choose to ignore because you believe in the life you built. I married him young, 26, full of fire and trust. Back then he was ambitious but broke, talking about big dreams and bigger risks. I had a steady job in marketing, pulling 12-hour days while he tinkered with business ideas in cafes, convincing me that success was just around the corner. I believed him. More than that, I funded him. Rent, groceries, even his first office space, all came out of my paycheck. When my mother passed, the grief nearly crushed me. What kept me breathing was the house she left me, a small inheritance that represented her life's work. I should have kept it in my name alone, but no, I wanted to share everything with him. I wanted ours, not mine. So I added him to the paperwork. Years later, when he finally made it, when his small company turned into something that actually pulled money in, he strutted like a self-made man. He forgot the nights I held us together with takeout dinners and unpaid bills. And maybe I let him forget, because I wanted to believe that marriage meant sacrifice and reward in equal measure. We had our daughter 2 years into his first real streak of success. She's 7 now, all wide eyes and messy ponytails, too smart for her age. She is the reason I tolerated the excuses, late meetings, last-minute travel, networking dinners. She's the reason I convinced myself that marriage sometimes looks uneven, but always balances out in the end. But deep down, I knew. The perfume that clung to his shirts when he got home late, the texts he guarded with his body angled away, the sudden gym obsession when he'd never cared before. All the signs were there. I just didn't want to see them, because seeing them meant tearing my daughter's world apart. I remember one night, maybe 6 months ago, I asked him directly if there was someone else. His eyes flashed with that mix of irritation and fear, the kind of look people get when they're not prepared to be caught. He laughed it off, kissed my forehead, told me I was being paranoid. And I let it go. I swallowed my doubt like poison and smiled through it. The universe has a cruel way of handing you the truth when you're finally ready to stop lying to yourself. For me, it came in the form of that hotel confirmation email, sitting innocently in my inbox. But the real confirmation came later, from someone I trusted. My best friend Harper called me 2 weeks before the hotel fiasco. She'd been out with coworkers at a bar downtown and saw him walk in with the same woman I'd later see on his arm. "They weren't subtle, Mac," she said, her voice tight with pity and anger. It wasn't business. She had her hand on his leg. I hung up that night, staring at the ceiling while my daughter slept down the hall. Every memory played on a reel. The nights I defended him to my family. The years I carried us financially. The trust I handed him like gold. He hadn't just betrayed me. He'd betrayed the version of me that sacrificed everything to make him who he was. That's when the weight shifted. Betrayal stopped being a question mark and became a period. A hard stop. And once that line was drawn, the rest of the story began to write itself. I wasn't just a wife anymore. I was a strategist, a mother, and a woman with nothing left to lose. And he had no idea what kind of storm was about to hit him. The morning after the hotel scene, I woke up with swollen eyes but a steady pulse. I didn't cry myself to sleep. I planned myself to sleep. The rage had burned clean, leaving me sharper than I'd felt in years. He had humiliated me in public. Now it was my turn to dismantle him in private, piece by piece. First step, money. Always money. I drove straight to the bank when it opened, dressed in black slacks and a crisp blouse, hair tied back like armor. The clerk recognized me. I'd been in and out for years, depositing my salary, transferring funds to cover his endless business investments. But this time was different. "I need to freeze our joint account," I said calmly, sliding the necessary documents across the desk. And I want my inheritance account moved into a separate portfolio under my name only. The woman glanced at me, hesitation flickering, but I held her gaze. My tone left no room for negotiation. Within an hour, the money that had once been ours was now untouchable, secured behind my signature alone. I walked out lighter, almost giddy, knowing he would soon reach for the card that never declined, and choke on the reality that it was empty. Second step? Protection. I called a locksmith and changed the house locks before lunch. His clothes went into black trash bags, lined neatly in the garage. Every shirt, every shoe, every tie he had bought with my credit card. Gone. By noon, my phone buzzed with a message from Harper. He's panicking. Just tried to use the card at a restaurant. Declined. Good. Third step. Legal. I sat across from a divorce lawyer that same afternoon. She was a sharp woman in her 40s with eyes that missed nothing. I handed her the hotel confirmation email, screenshots Harper had sent me, and my bank statements. She skimmed through, nodding with quiet satisfaction. "You've got him cornered," she said finally. "This will be clean. Custody, assets, everything. He'll fight, but you're holding the match and the gasoline." Her words were a balm. For the first time, I didn't feel like a victim. I felt like the architect of his unraveling. That night, I tucked my daughter into bed and kissed her forehead. She looked up at me, eyes wide and searching. "Mommy, why was Daddy gone so long yesterday?" My throat tightened, but I forced the truth out gently. "Daddy made some choices that hurt us. But you and I are going to be okay. Better than okay." She nodded like she understood more than I wanted her to, wrapping her little arms around my neck. That hug sealed my resolve. I wasn't just fighting for myself. I was fighting for her, for the kind of life she deserved. The next day, the storm hit. He showed up at the house, pounding on the locked front door. I watched from the upstairs window as he jiggled the knob, his face twisted with confusion and anger. Finally, I opened the window just enough for him to see me. "What the hell, Mac? My card's not working. Why are the locks changed?" I leaned out, voice calm, deliberate. "Because you don't live here anymore. And the money? That's mine. You lost the right to it the moment you walked into that hotel." His jaw clenched. "You can't do this. That money's ours. The house is mine." I cut in. "The deed's in my name. The inheritance is mine. You contributed nothing but lies." He slammed his fist against the door, but I didn't flinch. "You're making a mistake," he spat. "You think you can just erase me?" I smiled, slow and cold. "I'm not erasing you. I'm exposing you. There's a difference." The look on his face, shock, rage, desperation tangled together, was better than champagne. He stormed off, shouting over his shoulder that I'd regret this. But as his car peeled out of the driveway, all I felt was certainty. I wasn't the one who would regret anything. That night, I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop open, spreadsheets organized, lawyers' emails marked with stars. Every move was deliberate. Evidence compiled, assets secured, allies contacted. My life, once wrapped around his chaos, was now under my control. And I wasn't stopping. This was only the beginning. He thought the hotel was his playground. He had no idea it was the first domino in the collapse of everything he'd built on my back. The first cracks showed faster than I expected. By midweek, he was already drowning. I was sipping coffee at the kitchen table when my phone buzzed with another message from Harper. He just tried to book a flight. Card declined again. He looked like he wanted to die. I smiled into my mug. For years, I'd watched him swipe plastic without ever checking balances. He lived in the illusion that money just flowed, because I made sure it did. Now, he was a man with a wallet full of useless cards. The next blow came from the mistress. She called me. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. "Hello?" Her voice was shaky, stripped of the smugness she carried in the hotel lobby. "Look, I didn't know he was married. He told me you were separated." I laughed so hard I nearly dropped the phone. Separated? Honey, he was very much married when he used my email to book your little getaway. Silence. Then a whisper. He promised me he'd take care of everything. He said the business was thriving. Then let him take care of you, I snapped. He's all yours now. Enjoy the bills, the debt, and the reputation of being the side piece who thought she won. She hung up crying. Good. Let her feel the sting of being just another pawn in his lies. Word spread quickly. West Palm Beach is big enough to disappear in, but small enough that gossip finds you faster than sunlight. By Thursday, my phone was buzzing nonstop with messages from acquaintances. Saw your husband at the bar. Looked wrecked. He's telling people you blindsided him. Is it true about the hotel? I didn't confirm or deny. I didn't need to. The truth had a way of surfacing on its own, especially when you left breadcrumbs for people to follow. I started dropping them deliberately. A forwarded receipt here, a screenshot there. Not plastered on social media. Not yet. Just quietly leaked to the right ears. The receptionist at the hotel, for example, was more than happy to accidentally mention the scene to a friend, who mentioned it to another, and soon it was all anyone whispered about at country clubs and yoga studios. His business partners began pulling away. One of them, a man named Cole, called me directly. Look, McKenna, I don't know what's going on between you two, but he's missing meetings, blowing deadlines. He looks unstable. If there's something we should know? I didn't say much, just enough. Maybe you should check his expense reports. See how much of the company's money went to hotel suites instead of client dinners. The silence on the other end was delicious. By the weekend, the fallout reached his family. His father, the man who once toasted him as the future of the family name at our wedding, called me in a hushed, almost embarrassed tone. Mac, he said, I'm hearing things. Tell me it's not true. Oh, it's true, I said flatly. Every word. Your son humiliated me in public, in front of strangers. He cheated, he lied, and he thought he was untouchable. The old man sighed, heavy and defeated. I'll talk to him. This is shameful. For the first time, I felt the tide turning completely in my favor. The same people who once praised him were now distancing themselves, realizing he wasn't the golden boy they'd propped up, but a fool unraveling in plain view. And then came his first desperate attempt to crawl back. It was Sunday afternoon. I was folding laundry when my phone lit up with his name. Against my better judgment, I answered. McKenna, please, he started, his voice hoarse. We need to talk. This is getting out of hand. I kept folding, calm and steady. You're the one who booked a hotel with your mistress using my email. Out of hand doesn't begin to cover it. I made a mistake, he said quickly. A huge mistake. But you can't ruin me like this. I laughed under my breath. Can't I? He hesitated, then tried a new angle. Think about our daughter. Think about her future. Do you really want her growing up in the middle of this? That hit me, but not the way he intended. Her future? That's exactly why I'm doing this. I'd rather she grow up with one strong parent than watch me grovel at the feet of a liar. His breath crackled on the line, sharp and shallow. If you keep this up, I'll have nothing left. That's the point, I said softly. Now hang up. Don't call again unless it's through my lawyer. Click. I stood there, phone still in my hand, heart pounding. For years, I had been the buffer, the fixer, the one who made sure life ran smoothly while he played the role of the carefree husband. Now, he was feeling the chaos I'd shielded him from, and I wasn't going to save him. That night, I tucked my daughter into bed again, kissed her goodnight, and whispered a promise. We're going to be okay. Mommy's got this. Downstairs, I poured myself a glass of wine and opened my laptop. His messages were already rolling in. Long, panicked emails begging for meetings, for explanations, for forgiveness. I didn't reply. Not once. Because this was no longer about forgiveness. This was about consequences. And the first wave had only just hit. If the hotel lobby was Act 1, the family dinner was Act 2. And this time, there would be no champagne glass to the face. Only a truth bomb that would leave him scorched in front of the people he cared about most. His sister called me first. "Mac, we're all meeting at Dad's house Sunday. He wants the family together. Can you come?" I hesitated, knowing exactly what this was. A staged intervention. His attempt to spin the narrative, to paint me as the bitter wife trying to destroy him. But I agreed, because sometimes the best stage for a confrontation is the one they build themselves. When I arrived, the air was thick with tension. His parents, his siblings, even a few cousins, all seated around the long dining table, the smell of roasted chicken filling the room. And at the head of the table, there he was. Clean-shaven, forced smile, trying to look like the respectable man everyone once admired. "McKenna," he said warmly, too warmly. "Glad you could make it. We need to clear the air." I slid into an empty chair, crossing my legs, my purse resting neatly in my lap. "By all means," I said. "Clear it." He launched into a rehearsed speech. "I know mistakes were made. I know I've let people down. But McKenna has been spreading stories that—" I raised a hand, cutting him off. "Stories? You mean facts. Would you like me to read them out loud?" Murmurs rippled across the table. His mother shifted uncomfortably. His father's jaw tightened. "Mac," he said through gritted teeth, "this isn't the place." "Oh, it's exactly the place," I countered, pulling my phone from my purse. With a few swipes, I mirrored the hotel confirmation onto the TV mounted on the wall. The email glowed like a spotlight. Reservation for Sullivan. Special requests. Champagne. Rose petals. Notes. Make sure it's perfect for her. Gasps filled the room. His sister covered her mouth. His cousin whispered something under her breath. I turned to face them all. He didn't just cheat. He was sloppy enough to use my email account. That's how little he respected me, and how little he thought of all of you. He didn't just betray me. He dragged our family name through the gutter. His face went crimson. "McKenna, stop this right now." I stood, my voice steady but loud enough to cut through every protest. "Stop. Why? You humiliated me in public in front of strangers. Now your family gets the truth too. That's balance." His father slammed a fist against the table. "Is this true?" he barked. Silence. My husband's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air.